just early hours before things start getting off with the third place and the championship game. Before we get to those games, another AAU Overtime podcast. Jordan DeLuciano, as always, joined to my far right, Louis DePaulo. We've been on the call for the past two games yesterday, but we're joined right in the middle by the Assistant Athletic Director for hockey at Tennessee State University, Nick Guerriero. Nick, welcome to the podcast and welcome to the tournament.
Awesome. Thanks for being here. It's great. Appreciate everything that AAU hockey has done, inviting us to come see what the league and the conferences do here in Savannah. And so far, we really like what we see.
So, Nick, very historical upcoming next season. So not this current season right now, the next year for Tennessee State, the first HBCU school to have college hockey. It's probably a long story, I guess. Talk as long as you need to. How did that come about? And, Nick, what is your specific role with the school and with the hockey team?
Well, let's start with how it kind of started. So I would say it started a little bit after pandemic, around the pandemic time. The Nashville Predators and CEO Sean Henry, along with Tennessee State President Dr. Glenda Glover, worked on a project to raise some money for the university for scholarships, and they were successful in doing that. And while Dr. Glover was talking to Sean, she had mentioned that, there was a couple parents that had reached out to her and asked how come, minority hockey players don't have a place to go and play hockey. And Dr. Glover kind of in her head was like, you know what, there's a need for that in the college sports world. And that's when the conversation started about bringing the HBCU world into college hockey. And we waited a little bit of time, and then we made the announcement last year at the NHL draft, right before Connor Bedard got picked number one. And, since then we've been kind of rolling with it. As for me, so it's kind of funny, my original role at Tennessee State when I got hired in 2021 was to oversee communications and creative content. I still do that to this day. But now adding this role with hockey has just been something that is, not just for myself, but for our university has been tremendous.
So, Nick, you're going to be the first HBCU with hockey. How do you think being a groundbreaker, that's going to affect the whole landscape of HBCU and hockey opportunities for other schools?
Well, I think, you take a look at what some other HBCUs have done. Fisk last year added gymnastics and what a tremendous job they did. I think really what we're going to do is, we are groundbreaking. And, I think for what Tennessee State is going to bring to the table, not only in the college world, but the grassroots world, is bring more diversity to the sport of hockey. And that's something that Dr. McAllen, our athletic director, has been really preaching. And, when he asked me to kind of take on this project, it was something near and dear to me, having grown up in New York City. And we have ice hockey in Harlem and a couple other, organizations in the New York area that are really bringing diversity to the sport of hockey. I think for what we're going to do down in Nashville is just going to be a little bit more to bring awareness on a global stage. And I think from what you've seen in the HBCU world over the last couple of years with, the Deion Sanders is coaching at Jackson State or Eddie George coaching at Tennessee State, bringing that little notoriety and celebrity status to college athletics, I think is what we're going to do.
And then when you do that, you'll be able to grow the game, not just in Nashville, but across the country. You'll have a voice, you'll have a platform, you'll be able to recruit the diversity that you're looking for. And then as far as getting started, though, where are you going to plan on recruiting and what opportunities will be at Tennessee State?
Yeah, so I mean, as far as recruiting is concerned, we're going to go here, there, and everywhere. Obviously, you look at, obviously in the U.S., so you got the Northeast, right? I'm from New York City, and I know a lot of, kids that grew up playing in New York, and then, you go and look at like the Minnesotas of the world and Detroit's, and up north in Canada, Scarborough, Ontario is a really big hotbed for players of color. The Ryan Reeveses of the world came up from there, Kevin Weekses, the Stewart brothers. So we're really just going to kind of take this as far as we can go. One good thing about Tennessee State University is, being that we are an HBCU, that there is in the 2023-24 era, there is a want for students to go to HBCUs to get that type of education. I think for what we're going to do, adding hockey to it, brings a different type of student to Tennessee State from more of the international side from Canada, but it also brings in students that have high GPAs, that are community leaders. And that's something that not only Dr. Glover, but Dr. Allen really want for us to put together.
And it'll be another avenue to get kids to college, get their degree that maybe they wouldn't have been able to get their degree or maybe not even interested. Now they'll have a place at Tennessee State.
Well, one of the good things also about what we do at Tennessee State, just looking at some of our other athletic teams, we also, have a lot of first generation college kids go to Tennessee State. I know from working with our football coaches, how many of our students have graduated that, amongst their families, they're the first person to graduate college. And that's something we're trying to do, is give opportunities opportunities to kids who may have not had those opportunities. But also, when you look at it from the hockey world, there are some great players that may get overlooked, from the NCAAs and even some of the club teams just because where they grew up and just like their lifestyle. I've got a young man who's going to transfer and come to Tennessee State right now. And one of the reasons he's leaving his current team is that he just didn't fit the scope of that team. And he dealt with some issues there. And, coming to Tennessee State, he's not going to have that problem.
Before we get into this upcoming season, which will be your first year, right now, before you get to that first game, that first puck drop, what is the scope looking like? What is the organization like? What are the steps you guys are in right now? It's probably a lot going on right now to get this team going, but what's the process looking like before that opening puck drop?
Well, it's like an everyday situation, trying to figure out what we're going to do. And I got to give a lot of credit to the NHL and Kevin Westgarth and to the Predators for helping us put this all together. Right now, where are we? We're, at the process. We were working on getting our uniforms finalized and working with equipment companies and finalizing facilities to practice in and play in. And then once we get all that going, we're going to, add a head coach and a couple other staff members soon to, really put it together. I know a lot of it hasn't been announced yet. And a lot of it we're kind of keeping, close, just so we dot all the I's and cross all the T's. But, we want to make this a first-class event. We want to make this our team and our program something that, like I was saying to Lewis, that, people from Canada or the U.S. would want to come to Nashville and watch us play because, we're doing it right. Just like here at the Savannah Classic, we want to make it just look like that.
Any teams in the local area that surround the school that you're eyeing that like these are going to be future opponents down the line?
Well, it's kind of interesting. So, when we think of college hockey, not many people do think of Nashville, but there is Vanderbilt that has a team. MTSU has a team. Austin P, a rival of ours, just added club hockey as well. And Tennessee, who is playing this classic here. We'd love to play whoever, even watching the games yesterday and even tonight, like there are a couple teams that are playing this event. I'd love to see come up to Nashville.
So your Tennessee State downtown campus, close to Bridgestone Arena, great opportunity for the Predators to get involved and help this work. As far as the education at Tennessee State, what educational opportunities do they have, and where would kids go if they're interested to apply to Tennessee State?
Sure. So, the one good thing about Tennessee State, so kind of a little history. So Tennessee State was originally Tennessee State A&I. So we're an agricultural school. So kind of, I think it kind of is interesting, when you look at some of the Canadian kids that are growing up in Saskatchewan that, are on farmland in the Midwest, even in the United States. So our ag department is really good. Our engineering program is really good. We do have a medical school. We're starting to work on some of our medical side of it as well with nursing. I think people that want to go to Tennessee State, you want to be a communications major, you want to be a writer, you want to be, an accountant or something, those different types of degrees. We have just about everything that a student athlete would want to go look for.
And the campus in the city in Nashville, if you've never been, you want to visit because you've got a great opportunity. You live in the city. You have the benefits of the Predators, the Titans. You have all the major sports. You have great restaurants. You have obviously great music. It would be an amazing opportunity for any person to come to Tennessee State.
Well, and not only that, but we're a destination city. That's one of the things when we talked about, with some of these other college hockey teams and even at the NCAA rankings, we play in a major city. We're kind of like you think about Boston, right? You got BU and BC and those types of schools. There's not a major hockey team in New York City. There's not a major hockey team in Florida or LA or, even Chicago. And what Nashville's kind of turned into over the last 3 or 4 years, we are one of the most, up and coming exploding cities in the world. Don't drive at 5 o'clock. That's the worst thing to do in Nashville. I've had to learn that one. But I think for, fans that would come to our games, in Nashville, we have everything that you could offer.
Speaking of coming to your games, where would they play and how do fans get there?
So we're still finalizing all that, obviously, with our partnership with the Predators and the NHL. And there's a few rinks that are owned and operated by the Predators that we're going to have opportunities to play at. And obviously, Bridgestone Arena, where the Predators play, we're hoping to get an opportunity to play there as well.
And follow up with Lewis's question there. Any other means of promotion you guys are pursuing, whether it be right now during your building period or next season when things get going?
Yeah, obviously, we're going to work with Nashville itself. One of the things that we do outside of hockey, with footballs, we've got a deal with ESPN Plus, so for our games to be streamed there. Our broadcasts are on CBS Radio out of Nashville. It's Nashville, there's billboards everywhere. So you drive down the highway, you're going to see a billboard. But I think that some of the other things that we're kind of working on just little by little is working with our, our Music City board, visitors board, and just kind of working just with our fans up in North Nashville. Obviously, we have a really great relationship with the Titans as well. There may be some things, from documentaries coming on and people wanting to film us and just kind of look at the journey of what we're trying to do.
And lastly, with me at least, if Lewis does anything else, go for it. Any realistic goal setting? I know it's still very early in the process, but when that first puck drop happens, what is the vision for that opening season for Tennessee State?
I think it's just to be successful, obviously, and have student athletes that are going to our university because they want to go to school. That's really the main thing. And I think once that first puck gets dropped, it's going to be one of those situations where it's going to be groundbreaking. I'm not a fan of saying it, but it's almost like this is the 2024 version of Jackie Robinson breaking the color barrier in baseball. There hasn't been a university of color that has had the sport of college hockey, and I think for what our university is going to do is going to be worldwide.
And for all the Tennessee State alumni that want to be a part of this new venture, how do they get a hold of you?
Well, just call me. It's kind of funny.
Find Nick.
Just find me.
Yeah, find Nick.
It's kind of like the running joke on social media. It's but no, go to tsutigers.com. Our social media handles are TSU Tigers Hockey. We're always around.
Well, Jordan and I wish you the best. Congratulations on being a groundbreaker, a trendsetter, and good luck to the Tigers.
Thank you very much. Appreciate being here, guys.
So assistant athletic director for hockey at Tennessee State University, the soon-to-be first HBCU college hockey school, and Louis DiPaolo, my colleague for the weekend, Jordan DeLuciano for the AAU Overtime Podcast. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you throughout the day. We got the third place game. We got Tennessee and Georgia Tech coming up first, and then the championship game later tonight, Florida and Georgia. We'll talk to you all throughout the day.